Happy Thursday, everybody. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. My name is Chase Sr. We continue to get closer and closer to Super Bowl 59, and we have plenty to talk about on tonight's show. Coming up, Jalen Carter has been sick all week. He's one of the most important players in this game. Is that a concern for this Eagles defense going up against Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid? Speaking of Kelce and Mahomes, they spoke glowingly about Vic Fangio's defense. We have some interviews with them coming up. I'm going to discuss the Chiefs' plan of attack going up against Jalen Hurts and this Eagles offense. Nick Sirianni talked about the Eagles' plan in going up against those potent and very famous Steve Spagnuolo blitz calls. And we also have an interview coming up with Saquon Barkley. Let's begin with one of the biggest storylines around the Eagles this week as we approach Super Bowl 59. That is the health and the status of stud defensive tackle Jalen Carter, whose leap from year one to year two has catapulted this Eagles defense partially from being one of the worst teams in the NFL last year on the defensive side of the ball to the number one defense in the league, and he has become an absolutely dominant force and one of the best all-around players in the National Football League. Has not done media interviews all throughout the week, and there's a bug going around as multiple Eagles players have been feeling sick going into this game. Now, of note, Chris Jones in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago was also sick. When you're in close quarters with a lot of your teammates, sometimes these sicknesses can spread. But for Philadelphia in particular, this is big because Jalen Carter is one of the most important, most pivotal players in this game. He could be the reason that this Eagles defense stops the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid from winning their third straight Super Bowl. And the Eagles' plan of attack on the defensive side of the ball against Mahomes has to be this, and Jalen Carter has to play a role in it. They have to get an interior and exterior pass rush. If you're able to pressure Mahomes up the gut, get that pressure around the edge, it can change the complexion of the game and really disrupt that Chiefs offensive game plan. The Eagles did not have a sack against Kansas City 2 years ago in Super Bowl 57. That can't be the case this go-around. The Eagles also, because of Mahomes' mobility and his ability to make plays with his feet and legs, have to have disciplined pass rush lanes. Milton Williams talked about this today. If Mahomes sees a sliver of daylight against that defensive front, he will take off and exploit it. He did that, and it crushed the Eagles defense back in 2022 in Arizona. The Eagles also can't let him break contain. When he does that, he just makes back-breaking plays. That's either extending plays to throw it downfield or picking up chunks of yardage with his feet. He really is an underrated athlete, both with his sneaky speed and his physicality with designed runs. Because the Chiefs don't have the offensive firepower that he had early in his career with the likes of a Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and a better run game at moments, Andy Reid has started to call some design runs for Mahomes, and he can certainly carve you up in that regard. And he always tries to extend and buy time in the pocket in trying to find the big play. Vic Fangio, Eagles defensive coordinator, did say today, I believe Jalen Carter is going to play in this game. We have an injury update, which is fresh off the press that we're about to give you. But when a player is sick all throughout the week, and if multiple players are sick, you do worry about their fatigue and their stamina, especially against such a well-coached team like Kansas City that just wears you down throughout the course of a game, and they put pressure on you because they never, ever make mistakes. Here is the Eagles injury report. This is pretty much breaking news as we record this on this Thursday, February 6th at about 6:30 p.m. Eastern. These players, limited participants: Nick Gates groin, Brandon Graham elbow, Devontae Smith hamstring. These players, though, full participants: Zach Bond groin, that's great. Jalen Carter illness, that's huge. Britton Covey neck, full participant. Will he be the punt returner in this game? We'll see. Landon Dickerson knee, massive at that left guard spot. Kenny Gainwell has officially cleared concussion protocol. He's RB2 behind Saquon Barkley, an underrated third down back. Dallas Goedert ankle, also a full participant. I spoke with Cam Jurgens today and a couple of times this week. He's been in great spirits with that back ailment. Full participant as well. And CJ Uzomah, used as more so of a blocking tight end, and fullback, a full participant with that abdomen injury. And speaking of Carter and the Eagles defensive line in general, one of the top matchups in this game is going to be the Eagles interior defensive line against the Chiefs interior offensive line. Creed Humphrey at that center spot is one of the top centers in the game. And then Mike Caliendo, the Chiefs guard, is going to be matched up primarily with Jalen Carter. I spoke with Creed Humphrey earlier this week, and I just asked him about the matchup problems that Jalen Carter can create, and if he sees any Chris Jones in Jalen Carter, two of the top defensive players in the game. And here's what Creed Humphrey had to say to me.
Yeah, he's a great player, tremendous athlete, really explosive, really strong at the point of attack, and sheds blocks really well. He's causes a lot of pressure at the middle, so he's a phenomenal player, and we got our work cut out for us this week, and we're excited to prep for it and get ready.
Does he remind you of Chris Jones a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. They're both a little unorthodox in their movements, things like that, able to shed well, just different things, and they both have a plethora of moves they can use in the pass rush too.
And so that's Creed Humphrey talking about Jalen Carter. And that got the wheels churning a little bit when I sat down with Eagles center Cam Jurgens a little bit earlier today at the Eagles Hotel. I talked about his beef jerky company. I tried it. Great jerky, by the way. And then I asked him, because I was talking about some of the matchup problems that the Chiefs' interior defensive line can create against the Eagles' interior offensive line. And just as a follow-up question, I was like, does Jalen Carter remind you of Chris Jones a little bit? And what Cam Jurgens said is pretty impressive. He basically put Jalen Carter in his own stratosphere. It's pretty telling. Does Jalen Carter remind you a little bit of Chris Jones, too, with some of the unorthodox movements?
I could say a little bit. I think Jalen Carter is in his own territory. He's different with how he plays. He's such a freak athlete, and he can do a little bit of everything. The last game, they tried to slice block him at the 3-tech, and he jumped over somebody. That doesn't happen. So that's pretty cool. He's kind of like a street baller playing basketball out there, just making plays and wreaking havoc on people. And he's an absolute tank.
And while we're on the topic about this Eagles defense, look, this turnaround from last year to this year under Vic Fangio has been straight up incredible. They were so bad, so poorly coached, so bad on third down and in the red zone a year ago. They couldn't tackle anybody. But with Howie making a few additions, bringing back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, drafting Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, and the growth of some players like Jalen Carter, like Reed Blankenship, Nakobe Dean, the addition of Zach Bond. The Eagles defense is completely different. You wouldn't even recognize it from a year ago. And Travis Kelce has taken notice of that, and he called this matchup between the Chiefs and the Eagles on Sunday Goliath versus Goliath. And he said this Eagles defense is going to be the best unit that they play all year.
Yeah, their defense, this is going to be the best defense we play all year. They play so well together. Their secondary, you can tell they're all on the same page. They all understand their rules, a lot of zone coverage, but when it comes down to playing man, they're very physical. So it's going to be our biggest challenge yet, and I haven't even talked about the D-line yet. Their D-line is one of the best in the league, and it's going to be a fun challenge, man. I love going up against the best. It's why I play the game, and sure enough, we got two Goliaths going at it at the Super Bowl, man.
And, of course, Travis Kelce is the right-hand man for Patrick Mahomes. They've won all these Super Bowls together. They've linked up time and time again in crucial moments, putting up massive numbers together in lockstep in the regular season and in the playoffs. And, of course, this Eagles defense going to have to stop Travis Kelce in this game. I'd double him. I'd put Cooper DeJean on him. You match up Zach Bond with them. Reed Blankenship kind of got cooked by Zach Ertz. It's going to be a big matchup in this game. And then, of course, we talked earlier about what the Eagles have to do to bother Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes, he knows ball. He's cognizant of the fact that Vic Fangio is an elite defensive mind, and he spoke highly of Fangio himself.
Every time I've played Coach Fangio, there's been different change-ups and different things that he's thrown at us, and I think that's what makes him so great is he's not going to just do exactly what you saw the last time. And so I'm sure there'll be blitzes in the game. I'm sure there'll be times where they play coverage. It's going to be a chess match, and you want to go up against the best, and he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL, and it'll be a great challenge for us as an offense and as a football team.
And so with that, we transition to today's poll question. Who has the edge from a matchup standpoint? Is it the Chiefs offense type KC? Is it the Eagles defense PHI? I think the Eagles have the speed, the physicality, the scheme, the coaching, and the personnel, which matches up well against this Chiefs team. Let me know down in the comments section. Still plenty to get to here on the show. Don't go anywhere. I just want to give a shout out to our friends at Game Time for making today's Philadelphia Eagles now possible. If you're going to come down here to New Orleans, if you're in the Big Easy right now for the battle on the Bayou, download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, and when you do that, you get $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. This is the only app that you should be using when you want to go to an Eagles game, when you want to go to a sporting event. But also, it's not just an app for sporting events. You can go to concerts, comedy shows, theater events, and a whole lot more. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks. Instead of having to sort through thousands of tickets, thanks to some curation, Game Time will give you the best seats with the best vantage point at the lowest price. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Access tickets from your phone, easily resell your tickets. Plenty of tickets available for Super Bowl 59 between the Chiefs and the Eagles. They have flash deals and zone deals, and also the Game Time guarantee. If you find a lower price elsewhere, Game Time will credit you up to 110% of the difference. So, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Even if you wait until closer to kickoff, prices drop as the event gets closer. Use that code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. We move forward on today's show. The Chiefs' plan of attack against this Eagles offense is going to be simple. It's going to be cut and dry. Will the Eagles be able to stop it? You know what Steve Spagnuolo is going to do. He is going to blitz Jalen Hurts a lot, and he will be relentless with it. And in the critical plays of the game, critical junctures throughout the duration of the ball game, that's when Spags will come up with the play call, a play design, a blitz call that maybe the Eagles have never seen before. And how will the Eagles handle it? Will they have the hots? Will they have the checks? Will they have the answers? And this is a huge component of this game because Spags and his defense, top 5 blitz rate in the NFL in 2024. Jalen Hurts, when pressured, has not fared well. Number 37 of 37 quarterbacks in success rate when pressured. Number 37 of 37 in EPA per attempt. 33rd in quarterback sack rate. 32nd in yards per attempt. And this Chiefs defense, number 6 in defensive pressure rate from quarters 2 through 4. So they make really good adjustments throughout the course of the game as well. And then there's this. Chiefs zone blitzes, number 1 pressure rate, 51%, and number 2 in yards per attempt allowed at 6.1. That's their zone blitzes. Their man blitzes, number 26 pressure rate at 38%, number 28 in yards per attempt allowed at 8.3. Well, look at this. Hurts against zone blitzes, a 17% sack rate, worst in the NFL, 10 sacks taken. The Eagles' offensive line has been able to hold up well against the blitz. They're top 6 in pressure rate allowed, but Jalen Hurts sometimes doesn't trust his eyes. Thus, he holds on to the football, allowing that pressure to get home. This was a point of conversation this week for Nick Sirianni, and he was asked, what is the plan to be able to handle these blitz calls from Spagnuolo? And Jason Kelce in years prior, he made some of the audibles at the line of scrimmage. Now it's on Jalen Hurts to do that.
Nick, 2 years ago, Jason Kelce was responsible for pre-snap calls versus the blitz against Kansas City. Now that Jalen Hurts is, what kind of challenges does Steve Spagnuolo's blitz packages force a quarterback when he has to throw hot?
Yeah, obviously, no matter who's responsible for protection calls against the Steve Spagnuolo defense, it creates issues and challenges. At the end of the day, with a defense like the one we're playing with the great players that they have, and I just can't say enough about their coaching staff and the players that they have. I have the utmost respect for them, and obviously they've been doing this at a very high level, at the best level in the NFL for multiple years now. But I think what's important in those moments against teams like that is you have to play your rules. You have to be ready to adjust, and you have to be on the same page. Now, that's easier said than done. They make it challenging for you. But this is what you prepare for in training camp. This is what you prepare for during OTAs, meaning you play your rules and you adjust to the different things that are coming at you. And when you're good on offense, my experience has been is when you're good on offense, you watch the tape, you get ready for the tape, but you got to expect the unexpected, and that's the definition of his defense, of the confusion that he creates. So we'll have to be on it. We've had a good week and a half of preparation so far. We got to finish that off to give us an opportunity to be successful against him.
I thought that was a really good detailed answer from Nick Sirianni, by the way, from a game planning and offensive perspective. And let me just say this and pose this question. What's a way to beat the blitz? Finding success on the ground. Now, this Chiefs defense is top 10 in yards per carry allowed this year and rushing yards per game allowed this year. They do a good job of plugging gaps. They do a really good job of tackling. And Saquon Barkley has been huge for this Eagles offense all year. That is what an MVP candidate looks like. Home run after home run. When they need a big play, he comes through. When the Eagles need to go to somebody, Saquon Barkley's been that guy time and time again. And earlier today, I asked Saquon, the thing about this Chiefs defense that everybody is obsessed with, the exotic creative Spags blitz calls. And sometimes you know it's coming, right? You know that corner blitz is coming, but you still can't block it up. But why are they successful on top of blitzing and against the pass in stopping the run? Here's what the Offensive Player of the Year had to say to my question.
Spags is such a great defensive coordinator. He gets very exotic and creative with blitzes, but they're also top 10 against the run. Why are they able to be so sound against the rushing attack?
You can tell that they're coached great and they listen. Sometimes they go against teams that are undisciplined, and especially for a guy like me, that's why I kind of look forward to set of runs and knowing that I can impact the guy with a shoulder reaction or a head reaction and bring him outside his gap, and knowing I'm gonna have that wide open gap. They're really gap sound, and that's a challenge. So we got to continue to find ways to attack them. And for me, throughout the game, it's kind of like chess, knowing when and where to make those moves and take what they give me. And when they do slip up, because it is football, you're gonna make your mistakes. I gotta make them pay for it.
And some good insight there from Saquon Barkley from that vision of a running back. Programming reminder, we'll be live right here on Philadelphia Eagles Now for an Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl 59 watch party, expecting massive numbers. We're going to go live at least 2 hours before the game for the NFC Championship game against the Commanders. We set a record here on the show, more than 700,000 views. So be sure to join us. If you're not going to the game, join us for the watch party. Best place to experience an Eagles game day outside of being at the actual game. And that's why you hit that sub button.